In this video, we're going to learn how to install Windows 10. To install Windows 10, you're going to need an 8GB or more USB drive. Open up Google and type in Windows 10 Media Creation Tool. And then make sure you download it from the official Microsoft website. You need to go down to Create Windows 10 Installation Media and then click on Download Tool Now. Once downloaded, open it up and then pop in your USB drive. Wait for it to get a few things ready. Give them your soul, as most companies need these days. We're going to create installation media, USB. You can also do it with a DVD drive, but most people don't have DVDs these days. Remove the tick for recommended options for this PC. I'm assuming you're using another one. And you can select 32-bit if your machine has less than 4GB of RAM. So make sure you select your Windows 10 edition and your language. And once you've done that, simply click on Next. Select USB flash drive. I'm going to select my drive here. You can also refresh list if it's not showing. Click on Next. It will then say getting a few things ready, and it will start downloading all the support files required to install Windows 10. And once we're finished, we just click on Finish and then remove our flash drive. Your newly made flash drive and stick it in the computer of your choice, and go into your BIOS and then set it up so it boots from USB. So once the USB drive is popped in, it will then start loading the setup. The first thing you need to do is select your language. It's already picked the United Kingdom for me. Once you pick it, the other two should update accordingly. Then click on Next. Click on Install Now. And then either type in your product key or click on I don't have a product key. This will then require you to log in with a Microsoft account instead. Select your Windows edition. I'm going to go for Pro. And click on Next. Click on Accept License Terms and then click on Next. You've got two options here. You can either install Windows, keeping your files and upgrading the old OS, or you can install a completely fresh OS. I recommend installing a completely fresh OS, but before you do this, please back up your sensitive files and data. Your save games, your documents, anything that's important to you needs to be copied onto an external drive and, if possible, into the cloud so you don't lose anything. So I'm going to go with Custom Install. If you have a bunch of drives here, you'll need to select on them and then click on Delete. And then once you have unallocated space, all as one lump, you can then click on Next. Windows will then proceed to copy some files for you. Once the files are finished copying, it will then restart automatically, or you can click on Restart Now. Windows will then boot afresh, and will start the rest of the installation process. It will confirm the region you're in. Just click on Yes once you've selected it. And your keyboard layout, again I'm just going to click on Yes. I'm not going to bother with a second keyboard layout, but you can add one if you want to. You'll then get a nice hi message, and you'll be very reassured that they're getting things ready for you. You have the option of either setting up for personal use or for an organisation. I'm going to assume this is your personal machine, so I'm going to click on Next. Next, you log in with your Microsoft account. If you don't have one, click on the Create Account and go through that procedure. I do have one, so I'm going to log in. To help you log into Windows faster, it will ask you to create a PIN. You can either type in a standard set of numbers, or you can type something that requires letters and symbols, which is more secure. Once you typed it in, just click on OK. If you're using a laptop, or another device that moves around with you, then getting location-based experiences can be useful. As this is just a static desktop, I don't need that kind of information presented. So I'm just going to click on No and Accept. Again, if you're using a portable device and there is a fear that you might lose it, then turn Find My Device on. It may save you in the long run. But again, this is a static desktop, so I don't need to keep track of my device right now. It's up to you if you want to send some optional diagnostic data. I personally don't want them sending any telemetry they don't absolutely need, so I always click on Send Required Diagnostic Data instead. So then we click on Accept. Again, if you're using a tablet or a portable device with a touchscreen and a stylus, then you can opt to try and improve inking with your data. I personally don't want them to have this kind of data from me. I don't know what's being sent, so I'm just going to click on No and Accept. Microsoft are using this as an excuse to try and collect some data on you. They will use it in their marketing materials or whatever. I'm not 100% sure how they plan to use it, but personally I always go for no because I don't really want them having any more information than is necessary. After all, I've paid for Windows. They shouldn't need to advertise to me. Let them use an advertising ID. This basically creates an advertising ID that can be targeted to your computer. I recommend turning this off because any kind of ID that could be used to identify you as a user is not necessarily something you want to give to a big company like Microsoft. It's up to you if you care or not. I personally would not like targeted adverts following me around the web or on my Microsoft operating system, so I'm just going to click on No. I do not want an advertising ID. Here you can customize your experience. Honestly, it doesn't make much difference. It's another way for Microsoft to try and collect some data from you. What is the purpose of your machine, etc. I'm just going to click on Skip. It's not important. It makes no difference. Here is an opportunity to use your Android phone with your PC. PC Link is actually pretty cool. It will put text messages and other information from your Android phone directly on your desktop. I do occasionally find it useful, but right now I'm not going to bother because this is just a throwaway PC. And now it gives you the option to back things up with OneDrive. So if you have a OneDrive subscription or not, they will provide you with a certain amount of space. I believe they give you about 1 or 5 gigabytes if you're a free user, and if you're a paid user, for example, you subscribe to Microsoft Office, they'll give you a terabyte of extra storage. I personally use OneDrive a lot on my main machine, so I do allow this feature to run, but in this case this is just a demonstration machine, so I'm just going to say save files to this PC only, and I'm not going to worry about using OneDrive. So now you have the option as to whether or not you want Cortana listening for wake words and responding to voice commands. I personally don't find a lot of value in Cortana. It gets things wrong more often than gets it right, so I just tend to not bother with Cortana much at all. It's a bit of a shame. It could be a great system, but it's just not there for my everyday use. So now we wait for Windows to finish its final stuff. And that's it. We now have Windows installed and ready to go. So the first thing I will always do upon reinstalling Windows is perform Windows updates. And you can do this by pressing Start, typing in Update, and then going to Check for Updates. Click on Check for Updates here, and wait for it to contact the servers and start downloading things. At this point, it's mostly a waiting game. The second thing I install after I perform all Windows updates is my security software. So if you're using Kaspersky, AV-Virus, or whatever, just install that first. That way your system is protected from the get-go. Even though you do have Windows Defender pre-installed, it's not 100%, and it's better to get a paid-for security solution. And then the third thing I always install on my machines is Google. Don't get me wrong, Microsoft Edge is fine, but I prefer not to give Microsoft, the internet, along with my operating system. We've been down that path before with them. I would prefer another company be in charge with it so I don't end up with Bing everywhere, which unfortunately is not up to par compared to Google. So once you've done your updates, you've installed your security software, and you've installed Google Chrome, then you can start downloading your applications with confidence, knowing you're protected and your machine is very usable. Thank you for watching, and I hope this has been useful.